Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of 90 Day Fiancé The Other Way, Season 4, Episode 13, Winds Do Not Blow as the Ships Wish, whatever the hell that means. Let's get into Danielle and Johan. Danielle and Johan, come to the damn front because I need to have a heart-to-heart with y'all. So, Danielle comes home after seeing her ex-boyfriend, and while they're preparing dinner, Danielle brings up how important her friendships are to her and that she's going to be seeing her friends regardless. Danielle compares her having friends with Johan having friends because she says to him something like, well, you have friends, don't you? And he says, yes, I do have friends, but I don't put my friends above my wife. You put your friends above me. So he says that she makes her friends more of a priority than he is to her, while he makes her a priority more than his friends. So Danielle wants Johan to meet Talon so that he can understand what a great guy he is. Obviously, Johan doesn't want to do this, but he finally appeases her because he has, other plans in mind of how this meeting is going to go. So for whatever reason, okay, it's bad enough that you are wanting to see this man so bad against the wishes of your husband. But now you want the two men to actually meet. The two men that you had very close, intimate relationships with, you want them to be in the same room and you want them to have a conversation and you want them to actually like each other. Because she says that her goal is to make her friends his friends and his friends her friends. So they can be this big, huge friend group. I don't understand why that's important, because Johan even asked her, am I not enough for you that you feel the need to have all these friends around you? Which is a very good question. If Johan is your husband and he's your one and true love and your soulmate and your one and only, why do you need all these other people to make you happy, Danielle? Yes, it's understandable to have friends, but the friends that you have been trying to shoved down his throat has been this one male friend who was your ex-boyfriend. It's not like he's telling you can't be around your female friends. He has a problem with you going out with an ex-boyfriend that you had a close and intimate relationship with before you met Johan. And that doesn't make any sense to her why Johan would have a problem with this. And so she sees her husband as being very controlling because he's not allowing her to go see Talon. Okay, let's move on. So they meet up with Talon. And when Johan sees Talon approach them, he automatically starts making fun of Talon's outfit because he has on a pink short set. And so in the confessional, Johan says that he looks like a flamingo. So as soon as Talon sits down at the table, because they're meeting at this outside restaurant, the silence is extremely awkward, right? So Johan begins with, how did y'all meet? How long were y'all dating, etc. They met in Miami and they were only together for 4 months, y'all. Danielle dated this man for only 4 months, but she's willing to risk her whole marriage and all that she's been through to be with Johan, to live in the Dominican Republic, giving up her whole entire life in New York to be with this man. She's willing to give all of that up for a man that she only dated for 4 months. It wasn't even that deep and intense of a relationship. Danielle is weird. I don't know if she's just trying to find an out from this marriage to Johan. And it seems like she's that type of a woman. If she didn't want to be with Johan anymore, she would just tell him to his face, I don't want to be with you, and then go back to New York. But I don't understand why she's going through this whole rigmarole over a man that she only dated for 4 months. So Johan does a height test to see who's taller. Well, he was a little bit taller, I think. He asks Talon, what size shoe do you wear? He wears a 14, coincidentally. So does Johan. And then Johan says that Danielle likes well-endowed men. And he wanted to know what Talon was working with. And Talon refused to answer the question. He said, this is extremely inappropriate because I'm not used to talking about these things with another woman's husband. He says, I'm used to women asking me this question, but not another man. So Johan then asked if they ever had problems in the intimacy department. I guess because Danielle is so small. I don't know. But Danielle had to stop him right there and say, you know what, your questions are extremely inappropriate and he's not going to answer. He doesn't have to answer because this is private. And so Johan is like, well, you wanted me to ask questions. You wanted me to be here and you wanted me to get to know him better. And you wanted me to, ask him a whole lot of questions. So that's exactly what I'm doing. So what's the problem? Be careful with what you ask for, Danielle, because you definitely got it. Obviously, Johan's purpose was to make Danielle and to some degree Talon extremely uncomfortable and embarrassed because he doesn't want to be there. He doesn't want to have anything to do with this. He told Danielle over and over and over again, I don't want to meet him. I think it's weird that you want us to meet. I don't want nothing to do with your ex-boyfriend. But she kept on insisting and she kept on putting the pressure on him. And so he was like, you know what? Okay, I'm going to go see him. I'm going to get to know him very, very well because he was asking about, his size. I'm going to do all the things that you want me to do, but you better believe it. I'm going to do it my way. So Johan asked if they still have feelings for one another. What if Danielle wanted to be back with Talon? And Talon says, we're just friends right now. That's all it is. There's no romantic feelings between us. I don't want Danielle back. Danielle does not want me back. It's not like that. We're just platonic friends. So Talon then asks Johan, do you even trust your wife? Because they like all these questions. Do you even trust her? And Johan says, yes, I trust her, but she does things to make me break that trust. And so Danielle was like, what do I do that will break the trust? And Johan tells him, well, because you'll say that you'll do one thing, but then you do something else completely. So then Danielle starts crying. And I'm like, girl, why are you crying? This is what you wanted. You wanted the two men to meet. You insisted on them meeting. You put the pressure on your husband to make him meet your ex-boyfriend. You got exactly what you wanted. Why are you crying? Because Johan told you from the get-go this was not going to be a good idea and that he didn't want to do this, but you insisted. And now all of a sudden you tell Talon that when your husband feels insecure, he likes to humiliate you. But if you know this about your husband, then why do you put him in a situation where he would feel insecure by meeting your ex-boyfriend? Anybody would feel insecure if they had to meet their spouse's ex-partner that they had an intimate relationship with, especially when their spouse is insisting on them meeting. Because it would have been one thing, for example, if they were like at a party, Danielle and Johan are at a party and they just happen to bump into her ex. And she's like, oh, Johan, let me introduce you to my ex. Or she sees her ex from across the room and says, oh, Johan, look over there. That's my ex-boyfriend. Walk with me over there while I introduce you to him. That's one thing. But you had arranged a premeditated meeting for these two men and you thought it was going to go well? Danielle, you're a clown. You're a clown. You're a clown. You have very clownish ways about you because the things that you do make no sense and you make yourself look absolutely silly. So she starts crying. She blames everything on Johan because she's never responsible for anything. She takes absolutely zero accountability for anything that she's done to contribute to, the downfall of her damn marriage. Everything is Johan's fault. And unfortunately, she chose the wrong one because Johan is the kind of person where he likes to play tit for tat. So instead of like, how do I say this? Instead of just putting up with it, it's like, okay, I need to deal with my wife when we get back home. Instead of just putting up with it, yes, he wanted to embarrass her. He wanted to humiliate her, which is wrong in itself because this is still your wife. Even if what she did was wrong, your job is not to be even more wrong. Even if what she did is making you feel bad, your job isn't to seek out revenge and make her feel worse. Y'all shouldn't be doing that to one another. Danielle is wrong for this whole entire Talon situation, wanting to hang out with him, wanting the two men to meet. She was wrong for all of that because she knows that her husband has a jealousy streak. She was wrong for all of that. But then Johan should not have been tit for tat. Like, well, if you're going to make me feel uncomfortable, I'm going to make you feel even more uncomfortable. Because the spouses and partners should always be loving and caring and respectful to one another. You wouldn't do this to your child. You wouldn't want your child to feel jealous by you spending time with another child that's not even yours. You wouldn't want your child to feel uncomfortable or humiliated or embarrassed on purpose because they made you feel some kind of way. And the reason why I use use a parent-child relationship when talking about a relationship between romantic partners is because the love that we have for our children is truly unconditional. Like, no matter what these children put us through, we always want to love them and care for them, and we want the best for them. And that's how it should be for your spouse. But the spouses should be like that to one another. And the love that people have with their romantic partners, it's really never unconditional. It has a lot of conditions to it. And if Danielle was caring and loving and wanted her husband to feel safe and secure, she would never have gotten him involved with this whole Taylor situation. And if Yohan was truly loving and caring and never wanted to humiliate his wife, he wouldn't be saying the things that he said to Taylor and asking him the embarrassing questions that involved his wife. He wouldn't have done that, because not only is he embarrassing Danielle in front of Taylor, he's embarrassing her in front of millions of people, just like she's embarrassing him in front of millions of people by trying to make him jealous, by trying to let him know that I'm going to do what I want to do and you have no say so. And Danielle is extremely controlling. Excuse me. She's very, 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 very controlling. And it's like, I don't know if it's because she's an American or because she has more money than he does or because she's white or because she's a woman. I don't know what her deal is, but she feels like she has the authority to boss her husband around, and that the only option that he has is to buckle down and do what she says. And she does not give him any respect as a husband, as a man, or even as a human being. It's like, this is the Danielle show. He's just participating in it, and she's a director, and he has to do exactly what she says, or she starts threatening him with, divorce or going back to New York or whatever she does. This is a very dysfunctional relationship, and what they need to do is they need to leave each other alone. They need to leave each other alone, because there is no love between these two people. If you want to go tit for tat with your spouse like that, and you want to well, if you're going to make me feel bad, I'm going to make you feel worse. This is a marriage that is headed to disaster. Just end it now. End it now. There is no love between these two people. There is no compassion, no respect. There is no care between these two people. They need to just leave each other the hell alone. Moving on from there, we're going to go to... It was disgusting to watch. Debbie and Osama. First of all, I want to say this about Debbie and Osama. I have zero sympathy for Debbie, because as long as she's been alive on this earth, she should have known better. She should have known better. I don't put a lot of fault in Osama because, like I've always said when I review 90 Day Fiancé, for a lot of people who live in these other countries, life is about survival for them. Okay, they have to survive. And unfortunately, some of these countries, not all, but some of these countries, the citizens don't have the opportunities that they deserve. They're not able to take care of their families, to protect their future, they're not able to do a lot of stuff. And that's why everybody has this dream of coming to America or coming to some westernized country, because they feel like they're going to have better opportunities. So Osama trying to hitch his star to Debbie because he wants a better opportunity for himself. Okay, fine. I get it. He went about it the wrong way. He was very cold and heartless the way he went about it. But I put most of the blame on Debbie, because Debbie, as old as you are, you had no business being with a 27-year-old boy. I'm not your age, but I'm close to it. Well, I think I'm closer to Debbie's age than I am to Osama's age. And I wouldn't even consider, I'm a whole lot younger. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm a whole lot younger than Debbie. I'm not close to her age. I'm a whole lot younger than Debbie. And I would not even consider dating somebody as young as Osama. There's just no way. Even if I was, I wouldn't. I just wouldn't. I just wouldn't. I wouldn't. Anywho, so Osama is explaining that living in the U.S. is better because America values art and creativity, and he can make a living being a poet and an artist in the United States. And that's why he wants to come here so desperately. Debbie says that she won't marry someone just for a visa, but I thought you loved him. So they never discussed him moving to the U.S. and the whole entire time that they were communicating, the whole entire 3 years that they were communicating long distance. There was never a discussion of him coming to the U.S. Debbie says that he should be ashamed of himself for lying to her. She tells him, "You done me dirty. You're nasty. You're not honorable. You're creepy, man." So Osama says, "I'm creepy. I'm bad. I'm angry. I'm an MFer, and I'm an SOB." And when he said these words with as much anger as he had, he looked really scary. He looked really, really scary, because I was like, what? Because where was the sensitive poet, professing his love to her in his poetry? All of a sudden, we get this really angry man, this really angry, cockeyed man talking about how he's, I'm bad, I'm angry, I'm an MF, I'm an SOB. That was a very scary moment, how he just completely switched like that. So in the confessional, Osama says that their plan was to move to the U.S. Debbie says, no, I was only going to go back to the U.S. to visit my kids, never to live. And Osama looks at her and says, you're a liar. Who knows what the hell was going on, because we were not privy to those conversations before they got on the show. When we met Osama and Debbie, she was packing up her whole entire life to move to Morocco permanently. So as far as we know, there was never any intention of taking him to the U.S. So Osama, sorry, whatever was going on beforehand, unless you can show us some text messages, we just don't believe you. We believe that the intention for both of you was to live in Morocco. Debbie says that she closed her heart. She had her heart closed for 12 years. She denied herself love and companionship for 12 long years. And the one time that she decides to give love a chance, she runs into an Osama and gets treated like this and gets embarrassed on national or international television. She feels stupid, and she says she will never read another poem from someone again, because that's what hooked her. The fact that he was a poet and he wrote these beautiful poems about his love for her, that's what hooked her. So why else would a young guy like Osama be interested in a woman who's old enough to be his grandmother? Debbie? Like, use a little bit. Debbie, you don't have to be the smartest person in the world. You don't have to be a genius. You don't have to be a member of, what's that thing called? Mensa? You don't have to be super duper intelligent. I just need you to use a tiny scintilla of common sense. Girl, you got to call a thing a thing. You have to ask yourself, would a 27-year-old guy from Morocco really be interested in a 64-year-old woman from Alabama, Mississippi, wherever the hell she's from? A little common sense, especially if your children, the ones that love you more than anything, tried to warn you and steer you away from making a complete fool of yourself. So then after all of this, she tells him that, well, I'm not going to stay in your parents' home, and you're going to call me a cab, and I'm getting myself a hotel, which does happen. So then she goes crying to her damn son, talking about how Osama, he completely changed on her. And she says that he does his changing at night. Whenever he turns into this monster, it always happens at night. So the son says, yeah, he's a good old Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And the son says, okay, fine, whatever. We need to come up with a plan on what we're going to be doing next. So obviously she's going to be getting the hell out of Dodge and going back home. And the way things are, because look, y'all, I hope Osama doesn't have any intention to come to the United States with or without Debbie, because if Debbie's son gets a hint that Osama is in the United States at any point, I'm pretty sure that boy is going to go looking for him. I'm pretty sure Debbie's son is going to go looking for him, because you made his mom look like a damn fool out here. Ooh, you made his mom look like a damn fool out here. And there's no way in hell that you're going to come to the United States either now or sometime in the future and not feel his wrath. He's going to come looking for you, Osama, if you decide to come to America at any point in your life. This is something else that I'm tired of on 90 Day Fiancé. I'm tired of the relationships that are obviously not going to work. I'm tired. TLC, come on. We like to see relationships work. We like to see people come to the United States, or the Americans living in another country, and watching how they deal with life in a new culture and that's interesting to me. That's extremely interesting. I'd rather see that than see all this bickering and this fighting and this fake drama with these fake relationships. Osama and Debbie were a complete waste of time, because this relationship wasn't real to begin with, in my personal opinion. It was, okay, let's say that it was real. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt and say that it was a real. It wasn't going to work out. He had ulterior motives from day one. Debbie didn't see it, but everybody else did. There was no way this was going to work out. Nicole and Mahmoud, I'm not there yet, but Nicole and Mahmoud, or Rishi and Jen, to see people living in another country and trying to acclimate, I think that would have been a whole lot more interesting of a show than watching people fight and bigger and lie to each other and manipulate one another. It's just too toxic. Anyways, let's move on. Rishi and Jen. Here's another clownish fiasco. So Jen and her friends arrive at Rishi's family home with the translator, and Rishi was surprised to see that Jen had brought a translator because he's the one that does the translation between Jen and his family. But I don't know why he's surprised to see the translator, because he himself had said that the reason why Jen misunderstood this whole arranged marriage thing was because something was lost in translation. So I don't know why he's surprised. So Rishi says that it is unfortunate that the translator is so young and beautiful, because his family is going to look upon her as like, oh, that could be a potential wife for Rishi. So the mom, they asked the mother, when it came to y'all finding potential wife for Rishi, how many proposals were there? So the mom says that it was 2 to 4, but that Rishi had never met any of them, and that when they brought up the subject to him, he completely rejected the idea of having an arranged marriage. So Jen concluded that, okay, this whole matchmaking thing was not as serious as I thought it was. It was very informal, very casual, no big deal. So then Randy tells the mom that she and Myra, they're in India for the sole purpose of supporting Jen in her announcement to the family that Jen and Rishi are engaged, and they do plan to get married, and they do plan to live together. And in fact, they've already exchanged rings. So the mom looked outwardly surprised, okay, when they told her this. She really was shocked to hear this news. So Rishi said that if he would have known that this was the plan, he probably never would have approved this meeting to begin with. And once they announced that they were engaged, once Randy told the mother and the uncle that they were engaged, Rishi looked so uncomfortable, so embarrassed. I know that he wanted the ground to just open up and just swallow him up and just disappear from this whole scenario. So the mom was not expecting this at all, and the mom wanted to know why they kept this from her for so long. This is exactly what I said at the beginning of the season, that it's going to make his mother feel stupid that she's so busy running around trying to find a wife for him, while all along Rishi is already engaged to Jen. He's already committed himself to marry Jen. And, he's sitting there living with his family, watching them go through this whole rigmarole of finding a damn wife for him. And he's already engaged to another woman. You made your mom look and feel stupid, Rishi. Anywho, so in their own little confessional or whatever in front of the camera, the mom was like, well, when they brought this news to us, we couldn't say no in front of everybody, because they're very polite people. They're not going to say, hell no, you're not going to marry our son. So they just kind of like went along with it, right? Out of politeness, they just kind of went along with it. So she says that she's happy, but what can you do? He made up his mind. He chose the woman that he wanted to be with. So what can she do as his mom? Nothing. So the mom does say that she wants to talk to her son more about it, of course. So then Jen notices that Rishi doesn't look too happy. You think? He spent this whole entire time avoiding telling his family that he was engaged to you, and you're making an observation that, oh, Rishi didn't look too happy. Rishi says that he's definitely shocked, but he wants to save face. He says he's definitely shocked about what just occurred, but he is relieved that his family finally knows about this. Rishi says that he did know what the reaction would be from his family, but it appeared that, they kind of took it in stride. But he is perturbed that Jen didn't respect his wishes by not waiting until August. So she took the control completely out of his hands, made up her own mind, made her own decision of when his family was going to find out about their engagement. So then the uncle asks, well, where are you going to live? And Jen says, well, she would love to live in Mumbai, but nothing is set in concrete. So this is going to be, they're going to talk about this later. It's to be determined at a later date. So Rishi says that he's not happy about not living with his family. He says it in his confessional that he wants to live with his family. The uncle does express concern concerned about Rishi moving out because Rishi is the main caretaker for his mother and also for the uncle. So they're really worried about him leaving. Obviously, Rishi feels a huge responsibility towards his mother and his uncle, and I don't think he's going to take it too lightly to just pack up his bags and move to Mumbai. So Jen doesn't know how to take this. It's getting a little bit, it's like her friends are like, oh, well, they'll work that out later. The hell they will, because this is a big deal. This is a big deal. Y'all feel like because y'all are American or whatever, that somehow or another y'all are going to get y'all's way. Because, look, I understand that Rishi's family had to find out sooner or later, but I just don't like how the friends just kind of like took over. I think that, Jen, you are a grown woman. You're 48 years old. Okay, if you felt like you had to tell his family because Rishi had no intentions of telling his family, you should have done that on your own. You should, instead of bringing the friends there, the peanut gallery there to do your dirty work for you. I didn't like that. I think the friends were just too involved. They're too much of a busybody. They need to worry about their own damn relationships. I think one of them is even married. Worry about your own relationship, your own husband, your own family, your own issues, instead of being so involved and flying all the way across the world to be this involved in someone else's relationship. That, to me, I didn't like that at all. It had to be done. The parents had to know, but not like this. Jen, you need to grow up. You're a grown woman. You want to be somebody's wife, and you want to live in a whole other country. Jen, I need you to grow up and mature and act like a 48-year-old woman and take care of business on your own. So Jen excuses herself. So the friends get up and they leave. Outside, Rishi thanks Randy for telling his family. And that whole exchange was fake as hell because, Rishi was really mad and probably wanted to put his hands around her neck and choke her. So Jen stresses again to Rishi that she does not want to live in a joint family situation. Rishi then has a conversation with his mom and his uncle alone. So the mom says that her heart is broken. Rishi says, well, if you felt this way, why did you say yes in front of them? And the mom was like, I didn't say yes. I said that we would need to talk about it more. We would need to consider it. I do remember the mom saying yes, though. But I don't know if she really understood what the hell was going on, even though there was a translator there. But I think I remember the mom saying, yes. I think she did. I don't know. But the mom says, I never said yes. All I said was that I would think about it. So then once they found out, so then they ask, the uncle asks Rishi, well, how old is she? And Rishi says she's 48 years old. But first, before he even said that, it took him a while to say it, right? Because the uncle was like, well, how old is she? And Rishi was like, well, and the uncle was like, say it, man. And Rishi said that she's 48 years old. And so the uncle and the mom were like, oh my God, so she's 16 years older than you? So that's when the mom was like, well, if she's that old, forget about it. I am saying no. I am saying hell to the no. I am saying this is a hard no. It's a hard pass. It's not going to happen. Not on my watch. No. Take that back to your friends. I said no. She's too old for you. They talk about the children thing, the children factor, whether or not he can even have children with her. And then the mother said, this is what we've heard before. The mother says, what will everybody think? It's going to be so embarrassing for me to have a son with a woman who is that damn old. Does this ring a bell to anybody? The mom says if she was younger than you, then I would consider it. But if she's that damn old, forget about it. Tell them that I said no. And I'm thinking to myself, Rishi, you know your family. You know your culture. If you were big and bold just to go find you an American woman wherever the hell y'all met, if you're big and bold to do that, then you need to be big and bold and tell your family, okay, if that's the case, then I don't know what y'all want to do, but I'm going to go be with my woman. I'm going to marry her, and that's just how it's going to be. So y'all can take it or y'all can leave it. Because you know your culture and you know your family. Why get involved? Then why are you so confused? Either you're going to stick with your family and your tradition or you're going to go with Jen. Why are you confused? Pick one. And TLC, I beg of you, do not bring back Jen and Rishi for another season if all we're going to see is Rishi bouncing back and forth between Jen and his family, going to his family, trying to convince them that, he loves her, this is true love, they need to accept it, and then going back to Jen and telling Jen, oh, but I love my parents. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to go through another Jenny and Sumit season. I don't want it because I know how it's going to end. I don't want to see Jen and Rishi if we're going to be bouncing back and forth. Now, if they go ahead and get married and Rishi goes ahead and decides that he's going to leave his family, cut off ties with his family to go be with Jen, I'd watch it. Or if Jen decides to go ahead and live with, if they allow it, to go live with Rishi and his family, I'll watch it. But the back and forth, a rerun of Sumit and Jenny, I'm not doing it. I will definitely still review the show, but I'm going to skip over their part. I'm not going to put up with another Sumit and Jenny type of situation when you know how your family is and you know what your culture is, but you're going to sit up there and act so confused like you don't know what to do when you know what the deal is. It doesn't make any sense to me. Gabe and Isabel. Gabe has arrived in Colombia. So, they start him and Isabel talk about the wedding, and Gabe tells Isabel, that Monica wants to be the maid of honor and to be the one to give the groomsmen to give the groom away. And Isabel was like, well, she can't do both. She can't be both. And so Gabe was like, well, you don't know my sister. She's very controlling and she'll do exactly what she wants to do. Anyway, let me get to the meat and potatoes of this. Okay. So he brought up the prenuptial agreement to Isabel. Isabel says, she was like, prenuptial agreement? Are you kidding me? What do you have? Where are your mansions, your yachts, your cars? Like, what are you talking about? A prenuptial, you don't have anything. Okay, fine. So then the family arrives. When the family arrives, the sister Monica, I thought she was kind of cold towards Isabel. The mom was a lot more warm and welcoming, but the sister Monica, she was very, she was a little bit standoffish with Isabel. So at some point, Gabe and Isabel, Monica and her boyfriend, they all go out to eat. And so Isabel tells Monica, like, why do you you don't even know who I am. You don't know me, but you already have this opinion of me. And, like, where is this coming from, actually? And so Monica says, well, this is coming from the stuff that Gabe has told us. Gabe has told us that you are jealous and that you're controlling, and I'm very protective of my brother. So then it becomes an issue between Gabe and his sister Monica. So then Gabe tells his sister, well, whenever you ask me about my relationship, you only ask me about the negative things. And so then Monica says, well, you only tell us the positive things. So I want to know the full story of your relationship. So Gabe is too scared to tell his family the true story or the real deal Holyfield of what's going on between him and his woman Isabel, because he knows that his family is going to automatically write him off as being impulsive, because he has a history of jumping into relationships and being very, very impulsive, and he gets hurt at the end of it all. So they're very, very protective of the women that he's with. And so because he painted this picture of Isabel being jealous and controlling, the sister got really worried, and she had already formed an opinion about Isabel. So Isabel reassures the sister that, look, I love him. I care for him a lot. My family loves him. My family accepts him. So you really have nothing to worry about. He is surrounded by love and support. So the sister acted like, she felt really good about this. She felt a little bit more comfortable that Gabe had like a second home in Colombia. So hopefully, she's going to be more accepting of it. But I mean, I don't have siblings, so I don't know the dynamic between siblings, but I'm just like, at some point, don't you have to let go and just let whatever happens. Like, if he ends up falling on his face with this situation with Isabel, we'll just be there to support him and pick him back up and love him and support him. But he has to live his own life and make his own decisions. You can't always protect him from the bad things in life. He's going to get his heart broken. He's going to go through challenges. He's going to go through a lot of ups and downs. And as his family, just be there to support and love him when he needs the support and the love from y'all. You can't control who he's with and what he does, and you can't choose a wife for him. So I'm not understanding why Monica is investing so much in who her brother wants to be with. It's his decision in his life. I mean, he's going to do what he wants. Moving on to Mahmoud and Nicole. So Mahmoud meets up with his brother, and he wants advice from his brother because his brother had lived in China, and he's thinking about moving to America with Nicole. And I'm thinking to myself, it doesn't matter what kind of advice your brother gives you. China and America are completely two different things. Okay, you're comparing apples to oranges here. But anywho, so the brother tells him, you're going to be very homesick. If you do decide to leave, you're going to be extremely homesick, and it's going to be a huge culture shock for you. So I'm not telling you not to go. I'm just telling you to be prepared for what you're going to be experiencing. And I really want to know, is Nicole talking to him because she wants her husband to move back to America with her so damn bad? Is she talking to him about the cultural and the political climate in the United States? Is she talking about the issues that we're facing here in America, the racism, the gun violence, the economy? Is she talking to him about these real deal Holyfield type of issues in America? Or does he think this is the land of milk and honey? Because he's coming into America as a minority. Okay. And I know that he says he's from the Middle East, but Morocco is still Africa. So he's coming to America as a minority from Africa, and he will be presenting himself as a Middle Eastern type person. But, Morocco's still on the continent of Africa, even though culturally they're more similar to Middle Easterns. So not only is he coming from the continent of Africa, but he's going to be Arab presenting. And so is she talking to him about how some people may receive him because of his ethnicity and his closeness to the Middle East? Are these issues being discussed? You want him to come with you so damn bad to America, but are you letting him know of what he might be facing here? Or are you just leading him into the lion's den and then just hoping that he's going to figure it out on his own? Because, Nicole, your experience in America as a white woman is completely different from what his experience in America will be as a young person of color from a country where he's going to be perceived as Middle Eastern. So are y'all having some hardcore discussions about that? That's really all I want to know. Then the brother says to him, well, you have a really big problem with how she dresses, and y'all argue a lot about clothes. And so Mahmoud says, well, I'm Muslim all day and all night, 7 days a week, 365. So no matter where I'm at, I'm still Muslim, and I'm still holding on to my traditions. So the brother says, you know what, if you're going to go to America, the best piece of advice that I can give you, you need to go with the flow. You need to go with the flow, and you need to be agreeable to what life is like over there. Don't go there extremely hardcore and how things are going to be a certain way. You need to go there and you need to go with the flow and be agreeable with your wife. Thank you so much for joining me for this review. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video. If you like this content, please go ahead and subscribe, and I will definitely talk to you later. Bye.